Welcoming today's guest, a footballer who's had more than 500 appearances in the Football and Premier League over 18 years. Born in Leicester and starting his career at Leicester City, where he won the League Cup twice. Then a move to Liverpool Football Club in the year 2000 for a record transfer fee, where he won multiple honours at LFC, including the FA Cup in 2001. He's played at Birmingham, Wigan, Aston Villa, Bolton, and let's not forget, that is without mentioning his 62 England caps. It is the living legend, Emile Heskey! Hello.
Production.
Is all that right?
Yes, it is.
Do you know, I don't know when this bit is right, but I'm going to try it because I was doing the research and I was like, is Emile Heskey's real name Emile William Ivanhoe Heskey?
Yes.
So would you ever go by Ivanhoe then?
No. The thing is, right, my brother's name's Rivellino, which is obviously after the footballer. We've got different names, let's put it that way. The easiest one is obviously Emile, but I actually sometimes have to use William because I get called Emily.
Oh, because people can't, yeah. So how are you doing? The world is in lockdown. How are you and the family doing?
Yeah, we're okay. Kids are okay. They get their homework, they get their schoolwork in the morning. They get through that, and then it's just seeing how many films we can watch and seeing how we can entertain them. Trying to stay as busy as possible.
Yeah. And how you find it as parent and teacher, I guess.
That's tough. It's just trying to keep them all focused, isn't it, and keep them all entertained. We'll be all right. It's just them, and as well, you know, their whole world is turned upside down because they're so used to being at school and then having this thing after school, then having this and doing this, and the kids go to school, they go to football, and then that's all gets thrown in the air and literally to a halt.
And you mentioned your kids, of course, to your lovely wife, fellow Scouser, Chantal. Hey lad, you did all right there.
Bad. They're all Scousers as well. Well, the youngest four with my wife are Scousers. I've got three more with my ex.
I was going to say, so which identity kind of pushes it more? Is it more the Leicester or more the Scouse with the kids there?
I can't hide my Leicester accent, can I? The kids Shan can't hide a Scouse accent. The kids are quite neutral, to be honest, when it comes to their accent. You wouldn't know where they're actually from.
Your accent's gone though, Emile, I've got to say. It's not really there anymore now, is it?
No, it's not as broad as it possibly was when I first came out of Leicester. But now it's because I've been so many different places. I think obviously you named a lot of the clubs. So I went up to Liverpool for 4 years, and then I was in Birmingham for possibly another. I was Birmingham for 2. Then I went back up to the northwest with Wigan for 3 years. Then I was back in Birmingham for 3.5 years. So yeah, I've been all over the place. But and your accents do change when you're interacting with different people, don't you? Because yours isn't as strong as I thought it would be.
I'll have to go a bit more Scouse then, Emile? Do you know what I mean? And you mentioned that your kids are sporty. They play football. I think one's at 1 or 2 are at an academy. How is it for them, kind of almost following in your footsteps with all your accolades?
Yeah, they're loving it. It's their own journey, isn't it? And when they've got a skill set and a mindset that they wanted to go and do something, they could go and do it. It was actually down to their mum pushing them, really. I was happy enough for them to do it, but it was their mum taking them there and pushing them while I was still playing. And now they're the benefits from that, where they're actually doing very well and enjoying it. And a good thing is they've got the mindset of staying fit and being active. Like now, they'll go and play in the garden and go and run about. The oldest is 14, he'll go for a jog on the streets. So they got them a healthy mindset as well.
And I come from a sporty family too, with my nephews also playing football. But I'm also aware, as I'm sure you are, there are thousands of kids kind of in the football academy system, and then come almost 16, it is so brutal, that cut off. Like, what advice would you give to kids who are, it's like football is like centre of their minds?
The first and foremost is dedicating yourself to your craft, but as well knowing that you possibly need a fallback as well, whether it be your education or whether it be, okay, I didn't quite make it at this level, let me move to build myself back up, or even move to another country. You've seen a lot of good young talent, English talent, going to Germany. And this is not saying that they're not good enough here, it's just that they're not getting the opportunities here. So they have to move to Germany, and then they better themselves to come back. But I think the major thing is obviously the education side of things, and making sure that you're getting that, because even alongside your football, you're gonna have a lot of time on your hand. And if you haven't got your wits about you, and that you could actually just be going nowhere with yourself. You can focus on two things at once if you want to. So you can actually focus on your football and your education as well. They do it in America very well. If you don't have your education up to scratch in America, you don't actually get to do your sport. So I believe we could mirror image that in England alongside football, but we don't seem to want to.
You went over and played for Newcastle in Australia, and obviously that is a very kind of different arena that you went in. But how do you feel that helped you?
It just gave me a different experience. I always wanted to play, and you ask any young lad, they always want to play abroad at some stage in their career. I'd never thought of Australia because it was never on my radar, but that gave me the opportunity to go out there and play in a different country, play in a different environment. And it was good in the sense that it was an up-and-coming league. Well, it is an up-and-coming league, and it's got a lot of young players, and it gave me a lot to give back to them. I still speak to a lot of the young lads who were playing out there. Well, they're not so young now, but they were young lads when I was there, and they're asking for advice and all that. And it was good. It was good for me personally. If it was something that I would have done when I was younger, to go to Australia, probably not, because I wanted to play. I wanted to be in the elite, and that is probably not the elite.
And you mentioned, Australia is an up-and-coming league, but a league like the MLS, I've seen it in the last, I would say, 10 years, 10 to 12 years actually, just kind of go from I'm not too sure about the MLS and not too sure about the league, but now the investment and the players who are going over, it's really turned a corner.
Yeah, I think as a young player, it'd be great to go over there, because like I said, if you fall out of the system here at 16, 17, there's no reason why you can't actually go over there, get a scholarship, start in the uni system. I like their system, especially their schooling system, because when you come out of school there, you generally got a chance of getting on a ladder somewhere and actually earning a career. They show you the full pathway, which is great. So I just think that is definitely an option for players that possibly don't make the cut here, but want to try chance it over there. You've had your Beckhams was one of the first ones to go over there. Ibrahimovic recently. Ashley Cole was over there for a long time. Bradley Wright has done an amazing job, especially for British players going over to there, because of what he's actually done. Isn't he the best highest goal-scoring British player in all time for the MLS? So, he's done wonders for British players wanting to go over there, overseas players wanting to go over there, and I don't see why they shouldn't take that plunge.
Now, Emile, I remember when you signed for Liverpool, it was under Gerard Houllier. You had Robbie Fowler in the team. It was a great team that you went, because you were going to bring the strength and everything. And then you guys went on and won the FA Cup final in 2001, beating Arsenal. And I do remember so clearly that when you guys did the parade, you were on I think it was Mather Avenue or Queen's Drive, and you held it aloft, and I was just like cheering along with me and every other single LFC fan. But what memory sticks out for you? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, we do. It was an amazing feeling to actually have the open top bus driving around and you've seen the sea of red. It's great for the city as well, especially again being in a city where Everton fans have to stay at home, and we get to take over and basically have a little bit of a party. It was great, coming from Leicester. Don't get me wrong, I'd won stuff at Leicester, but I always wanted to take that next step. And when I found out Liverpool were infamy, everyone else kind of just took a backward seat, and that was where I wanted to be. And then when I signed, obviously I knew that I was going into basically one of the best teams in the world. I'd already been to the national team, so I knew a lot of the players already there, and So it was easier for me to settle in, and they took me under their wing, and everything was nice for me to settle in at first. In my book, I write about it, to be honest with you. On the pitch was great, but off the pitch, because I was away from what I knew was the norm, being around my family and being around my community, I found that very difficult being in Liverpool. But on the pitch and everything couldn't have been any better. You know, we went on and won, like you say, in the FA Cup, we won 3 trophies that season. The Open Top bus tour was amazing. To see the Sea of Red going throughout the whole city was phenomenal. And you know, it was just a dream come true to actually win something with that team.
Which memory would you say is the most powerful or strongest for you, or the one you're most proud of? Which is the accolade that you're most proud of?
In my career, yeah, possibly winning the FA Cup. The thing is with the FA Cup, everyone, and I would ask some of the foreign lads, because they don't quite get it, that was the only cup you could watch on television. That was the only real sport you could watch on television, apart from Match of the Day, especially back in the day. So watching that was amazing. And then you're seeing giant killers, and you're seeing this, you're seeing people lift the trophy, and then you get to do it yourself. Is just an amazing feeling. It would have been better if we'd have won it at Wembley, but we won it. So I know we won it at Millennium Stadium, but we won it, so that was the main thing.
Well, speaking about winning, I mean, you know, you would have preferred to win it at Wembley. You won it at Millennium Stadium. Liverpool at the moment are 25 points clear of Manchester City. The world is in turmoil. You know, Iris, Liverpool should be getting the title, but what do you think should happen?
My view on it is, if they could get that season finished, I think they've got till July. I think it's mid-July to get it actually finished before the next round of monies and everything goes into place. I think there was a stat that came out that it was, I think, Opta do them stats, and I think the stat came out, it was 99.9% Liverpool would have won the league. That's how high they had it. I think the main thing is obviously the relegation and promotion. Even when you're looking at promotion, Leeds have been out of the league for how long, and they've done really well, but they've always faltered towards the end. Now, actually, probably in the strongest position ever, and then this happens. It's just the worst thing ever for them as well. So we need that. We need to look at that as well. Villa are just outside of the relegation, but only by, I think, goal difference. And whoever's in it got 1 game in hand. So if they draw that game or win it, they come out of there. So there's all these things that are going on.
I'm going to go one step further then. So what happens if we're all still in lockdown and the season doesn't really start? Then what?
We have a real big dilemma there, in the sense that we haven't even looked at. So you have a contract with Liverpool. Your contract finishes in end of May. What do you do? No one knows. No one knows. There's several people in this position where they don't know. Even if the season actually starts back again, if you're out of contract, do you get an extra month? And if you get an extra month, you might have signed a deal with someone else. What happens there? There's all these connotations that no one really knows too much about, and it's a real mess. The Premier League forfeit a lot of money. The actual clubs forfeit a lot of money. The stakeholders within the broadcasting forfeit a lot of money. You know, even we've paid out to watch a lot of games on television. Do we get our money back? Do they get their money back from the Premier League? There's so much that we actually don't even know too much about.
And on the subject of money, you would have seen Spanish players have forfeited some of their salary. I think it's around 70%. Do you think that's something that over here that our players should be doing?
I think if you ask most players, they'll be happy to take a defer their payment until a later date. Again, it's a discussion to be had. You can't just tell players. I think there was in Switzerland, Alex Song's been sacked for not taking a pay cut. The thing with his one, I think he wrote, was no one actually sat down and spoke to them about it. It was kind of a letter put in front of you, and that was it. Well, let's have a discussion about it. Let's talk about it, and then possibly it's an option. And I don't see why players shouldn't. The thing is you can't just tell them. You've got to discuss things with them. You can't just tell a person that you've got to do this. no, let's discuss it and let's come up with an amicable finish.
Emile, you're talking like a manager here, I have to say. Is that not something? I think is this something that you considered over the years? Is this something that you think about?
I think every player always thinks about that sort of stuff, and you've got to take it one step at a time. I've looked at it. I'm actually doing a course at the minute. I'm doing a UEFA course on sports management. So it allows you to get a better understanding, because once you played football, we could play football for 20 years, but actually know nothing about the actually upstairs and the running of a football club. It opens your mind a little bit more. And to be honest, yeah, I would. I don't know if I'd look at management. I wouldn't mind looking at like directorship and that sort of thing. Where you actually hire up and you're actually doing the running of a football club.
When I was doing my podcast, The Sister Collective of 5 Live, I talked about it. It's something that I'm not trying to draw you on, but it's something that is kind of in my mind as to why there are so many young black and mixed race footballers. Yeah, there's just not that in management. And we had Barnesy, Chris Houghton, who can never pronounce his surname, and Martin Bignett Inseat as well. He was in management for a little bit, wasn't he? So why is that disparity?
I think the main thing is getting the opportunities. We can't say there isn't black people trying to get into the system. I think it's the opportunities of getting into the system. I think now with the Rooney Rule being put in place, I spoke about it before with someone. It can only be good for football, because it makes your pool of the people that you're looking at bigger. Now, if I come to you and you do a bad, if I interview and your interview is bad, I'm not going to hide. If your interview is good and it makes me think, and I'll put you to this side and say, I've got to interview that person again now, because that's just giving me a bigger pool of people that I'm looking at now. And that's what we're trying to say. We're not trying to say you've got to pick her because she's black, or you've got to pick him because he's black. No, just give them the opportunity to sell themselves and put themselves in the shop window like you give everyone else the possibility to be put in the shop window. That's what we've said. It opens people up from just a bigger pool of people to pick from. That's all I said.
Let's talk about your book. You've touched on your book, and I know that some of the things we've talked about are in your book. The title is Emile Heskey Scored, My Story. First of all, I've got to ask you about the title. Why that title?
Well, the thing is that when we won, obviously in Munich, one of the songs is 5-1 and Heskey Scored. So I thought, let me use that. I'll take that back. There's this notion that I didn't score enough goals. But yeah, I still scored a lot. You know, I managed to record the 100 Premier League goals that I scored on Sky. So that's not too bad.
And what prompted you to write the book?
I'd spoken to a couple of people. I know Darius Vassell had written his, and he said it was actually very therapeutic and to actually look back at your career and really go through it in depth and detail on how you're feeling, what was going on, and injuries, everything. I never wanted to do one. It was when people see you in the street and ask you about certain things. So they'll ask you about certain games, whether it be Liverpool, whether it be Wigan, whoever. They'll ask you about certain games, and then you start talking to them and you're giving them your what was going on at that time and everything. And they would ask you, well, when you're writing a book, then when are you going to put this in the book? And I'm like, nah, I can't be bothered with that. Then after hearing it so many times, you're like, I think I'll have to. And then I got with a guy who Dean Elrich, who was very good. He actually didn't live too far from me when I was at Leicester, lived in Leicester. So he knew the people around me and everything, and he just come up and we just sat through it, and it was very good. Yeah, I enjoyed actually going through everything, and then you actually look at certain games, you forget that you did this in that game, you forget that you did that, and you're like, wow, I did all this. So yeah, it was good.
And I suppose it'll be great for your kids as well when they kind of get to read all about it. Because I don't know whether this is true, but I see kind of with a lot of parents flat out, whether they're sports or whatever that they do, sometimes kids don't understand like what their parents did. They're like, oh, that's just my mum, or that's just my dad. And it's when they get to a certain age, they kind of have an opportunity, like your kids, to read the book and go, oh, my dad did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they understand in a sense, especially the older ones. It's just the younger ones don't necessarily understand why I get stopped and why people are asking you for pictures and stuff like that.
Is it a recurring question?
The one that I get stopped for most of the time is the 5-1. That is where everyone knows exactly where they were at that time when the game was being played. It's just an iconic game, isn't it? So yeah, that's the one I get stopped for.
And what are your memories of that?
I remember it was Sven's first competitive game, Sven Goran Eriksson's, and we knew it was going to be tough. You're going into Germany. We faced them plenty of times, and you don't get to European finals and World Cup finals being a poor nation, being a poor footballing nation, and they're one of the best. So we knew it was going to be tough, and then we end up being 1-0 down after 7 minutes. You're like, oh, here we go again. But we pulled it around, and when everything just clicks and everything goes well for you, and it was just one of those days. And then I obviously topped it off with the 5th, and it was just an amazing feeling.
What motivates you in those times when it feels like I'm not even sure how I'm going to motivate myself?
The end game. What is your end game? I always looked at, especially when I was coming up through the ranks and stuff like that. I knew I was good. I wanted to play. I wanted to be, and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to, I'd watch clips of your favorite player. You watch your favorite player and you think, yeah, I can emulate him. I can be just as good as him. I need to be working hard. I need to be doing this, and I will get there eventually. And it's just the end game. I always thought that I would get there. I didn't think I would get there as quick as I did. I was 17 when I made my debut, just under 1 year of leaving school, which was weird for me, but I knew I was good enough to do that. And then the next step was I win trophies, and that was my next step with Leicester. I want to be the best here, and I want to win trophies. So that's what I strive to do. And then the next stage was I want to play for the national team. I want to play in the World Cup, and I managed to do that twice as well. Euros twice as well. So it was all them different accumulations of steps that I wanted to make, and you're always driving yourself to do more and more. And this is where you look at the Messis and Ronaldos who keep pushing themselves, and they're pushing each other. To be honest with you, I don't think one would be as high as they are if they didn't have each other. Because there's no one there to push them. So he's pushing him because he's won this many Ballon d'Ors. He's pushing him because he's got that many hat-tricks. And it's ridiculous the way they keep pushing each other. And this is for myself. I just pushed myself to be the best I could and get up and drive. And, I remember leaving school at 16 and doing my first pre-season. I couldn't explain to you how mentally hard that was. I was at the back of every running because I'd never done running before. So I was at the back of every running, and it's literally 20-minute run as fast as you can, and you're feeling sick and your head's hurting. You go home and you have a hot bath because you're just sore everywhere, and then you're sore the next day, but you've still got to motivate yourself to get up and go again. But I pushed myself that much. By the end of pre-season, I was at the front of all the running. But this was mentally what I needed for myself.
You mentioned there Messi and Ronaldo. Who is for you right now, contemporary player? Who's the best player in the world?
Difficult one, I say, because.
Come on!
Can I break it down? Well, I would say complete player. I would say Ronaldo, complete player. I would say Messi. We haven't seen Messi in another team. We've seen Ronaldo in different teams doing the same thing. I'll say Ronaldo, complete player, but Messi is just a phenom. He's just unbelievable. It just feels like no one can get actually near him. The way he dribbles, the way he moves, and people are trying to kick him down, he just gets up and goes on again. It's ridiculous. But most complete player, I would say Ronaldo, because if you look at some of the headers, you look at some of the overhead kicks, if you look at some of the long strikes, left foot, right foot, it's just no one else like that.
And what is next for you then?
I'm doing bits of media, which I like, so you actually get to talk about it a little bit more and put it in depth sometimes, and do my course. I'll hopefully be back at Leicester. I know they at the minute, obviously they're in lockdown at the minute, but I was hoping to start there and just on a internship as part of my course to help in the women's, which is just organisation and management, not so much coaching or anything like that, but more management, and then seeing where that takes me.
Fantastic, and I love that you're getting involved in the women's game.
It's growing, and I think you've got to give it to the FA. They've set it up quite well in the sense that you've got the app that you can actually go and watch games. You can go back and watch games. You can watch them live on your app as well, which is great. It's growing. It will get better. Obviously, at the minute you have your powerhouses within that women's. I think it's Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal. I think Spurs you can throw in there as well. They obviously going to spend more than anyone else, but I think it's going once the gap closes, and that'll happen over the years. We'll see some exciting football.
Well, Emile Heskey, 62 caps for England, and I know you're from Leicester, but I'm just going to say LFC legend. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.